Okay guys, we're going to talk a little bit about this dry matter situation, particularly dry matter intake. And this is for the first problem set. And this is actually a feed ingredient called beet pulp. And you can see it's really dry. And this is a very high fiber feed stuff. And it is very fermentable, so it works really well to provide energy to horses. And that's actually what I use it for. I use it for my thoroughbred mare who's 20. To help keep weight on her, because this gets fermented by the microbes that live in her in her hindgut, and provides her with a substantial amount of energy. So you can notice that it's pretty fluffy and bulky, but very dry, and this is not how you feed it. So this is what we would call, what's in this bucket is what we would call the dry matter intake. All right, so this is the dry version of it. You can see that it's dry. All right, but again, this is not how we actually feed it. We feed it in the as-fed version or wet. And so when I take a look at what that looks like now in this bucket, you can see that it's actually quite a bit more moist. All right, this is as-fed. So it's the same amount of weight. So the weight that's in this bucket of this dry matter intake, is 3 pounds. It looks like more than that, but it's actually because it's so fluffy, it doesn't weigh that much. So there's 3 pounds of this. And in order to get it to as fed, I'm actually gonna dump, I've got 8 pounds of water in this bucket. Okay, so clearly this is heavier than this. Okay, my dry matter intake is only 3 pounds. My water is 8 pounds. Okay, so what does that make the total, which is in here? That would make it 11 pounds. So I'm gonna go ahead and dump the water in. I can't do this very well with one hand and a phone. Okay, so now I've got this mix, and that water then is gonna get absorbed by the high fiber material. Okay, that high fiber feed stuff. And there's Jack, my cat. Okay, so it's gonna, in about 15 to 20 minutes, that water will have all absorbed and be in this very moist consistency that the horses really like. And so that's really important for the fiber intake, is to have all of this, all of that moisture in with it. So that's what we're talking about. You can start to see that water start to even absorb really quickly. All right, so this is what we call the as-fed intake. Very different than that dry matter intake. This bucket now is a lot heavier. It's 8 pounds heavier than it was because of all that added water. Right, so that's the difference between as-fed intake, again this is as-fed intake, versus that dry matter intake, which was just the dry material, which was just the 3 pounds. Okay,